Good morning and happy Monday, I guess. I mean, it's still January, but we had some lovely snow days. I don't know what the forecast looks like, but it's looking a little gray out there. So I'm going to talk to you just about 3 books that I've read recently. The first of which is Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. If you have heard any book talk I've ever given in your entire life, you know that I am a super fan of Colleen Hoover books. And this one does not disappoint. So it is about a young lady who is trying to get custody of her daughter back from her paternal grandparents because she lost custody, surprise, surprise, when she gave birth in prison. And so what I love about Colleen Hoover is the idea that characters can be flawed. People are not perfect. You can do horrible things and still deserve to forgive yourself for them. And that is what this book is all about, because nobody is harder on this mom than she is on herself. There's absolutely no one more upset with her than she is upset with herself. But because it's Colleen Hoover, things do eventually turn out. It's beautiful. It has been ordered, so we will have it in the library. It is not in the library right this second. So, another book I read, Spellhacker. It is in fantasy because it deals with magic and spells, and the premise is that there are these naturally occurring maze particles on Earth, and they are used to work with magic. So it's kind of like you kind of need these crystals, although they seem to be more like threads in the air, to complete magic. Some people can naturally spell weave them with their hands. Some people are tech witches because they need hand units that store the maze and that they can work with. And some people don't work well with maze at all. But the entire world lives off maze until some maze is released that causes spell sickness. And they don't know what causes it. It's sort of like a plague. Not everyone got it, but everyone who was on site died. So this is a story of 3 orphans and their friend who still actually lives with her parents in a nicer part of town, and how they perform heists to steal mace, because it's a great way to make money. I mean, the maze is now controlled by a singular corporation to keep everyone safe. Read into that what you will. And they make good money siphoning it off of the pipelines and selling it until something goes horribly wrong. So that's where this book is. The last book I'm going to talk about, Birds in the Sky, is a nonfiction book about the Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921. You may have heard about Greenwood, which is a subdivision of Tulsa, Oklahoma, which in the early 1900s was a beacon of black prosperity. There was an entire town, a main street, and it was on the other side of the tracks from Tulsa, but there were shops owned by black proprietors. There's a butcher shop, a movie cinema, a flower shop, clothing shops. There was a high school that was well funded and taught by people who were not only qualified but excited about what they were doing. So black Americans, very shortly post Civil War, were literally living their best life in Greenwood until they weren't. Until a tiny incident on an elevator on the Tulsa side of the tracks gave the white Tulsa residents, in their view, permission to torch the entire side of the tracks. And so everything that these people had built up, the generational wealth that they were beginning to build, the prosperity, the safety, the security, just literally went up in smoke. We do have, and I have talked about, the Angel of Greenwood, which is a fictional story about one of the young ladies who lived through the time. This answers all the questions that the other book left me with. It was a really excellent read. It's not a very thick book. It is not completely cataloged yet, in part because there's some reorganization going on, and we just haven't popped it into its new home yet. But it is an excellent read, and I highly recommend it if you want to know more about what's going on even today. I know 21 was literally 100 years ago, and yet the things that were happening in this book are still happening. There's not been vast improvements in most areas of America. So let me know if you want to read it. I'll get it ready. It does have barcodes, so we could go out at any time. Have a good day, guys.